Hello and welcome to the replay review I announced yesterday. So I said that I would not have time in this replay review to talk about map-specific factors of Miracle Ultimate. So those of you who have not seen the map spotlight on Miracle Ultimate I provided for this reason, please watch it so you can familiarize yourselves with the map. We are taking a look at Sous-Vide now, who is the person who sent me this replay, and just like last time I have to censor his name a little bit in the title and in the description to not get ranked down in the YouTube search, right? So sorry for that, but I don't want to take the risk. He is opening with 2 engineers and he's building a sailor and a tank. I think the sailor and the tank are pretty early, and that is a problem because you could use those to raid, you could use those to defend against a light assault bot, but the travel time of any land unit is quite high on this map. You can see how far apart the bases are, and this is why I would not expect any light assault bot, and I would not expect an early tank to work out, right? So this should be another engineer. So I'm not like saying the scout is bad. You can build the scout to see if anything is incoming just in case, right? It's not too expensive, but you should economize on the tank and put it into engineers instead. So there is a mass stall now, and this comes from building 3 power generators before building the first mix. Earlier you could see that this little guy ran over the construction site of the mix, which is super unlucky, right when Sous-Vide started building it. So it was blocked and it was delayed further. Now this engineer is reclaiming. It could be because of the mass stall that he tried to grab some rocks, but apparently he didn't hit rocks but instead trees. This one should rather be building this mass extractor over here. Having idle engineers or engineers that are reclaiming low interest reclaimables at the beginning is usually going to be a very bad start. And with 3 power generators early on, rushing the hydro like that and building even more power is not going to make sense either. Maybe he tries to go for T2 or gun. Oh, there we go actually. So his ally is rushing a T2 upgrade, I assume. Because, yeah, there we go, T2 upgrade. That's what I would do on this map because of the choke point. You can easily fill it with T2BD. And Sous-Vide is supporting him, which is very nice. I think that's good team play, and there is not a lot White can do against T2BD so early in the game. However, you can see how this is a huge cost factor for Sous-Vide's economy. And Sous-Vide ran into some troubles because he, well, did this stalling starting build order, and now he has power he doesn't really need anymore after this upgrade is done. Like, he could get his own upgrade, but this would force the ACU to remain in a position, and with so many enemy units, the enemy has a time and scale based production lead because they have built more factories. You would not want to bind your ACU to a fixed position for such a long time, right? So the time to upgrade is pretty much over, and he doesn't have extra units to secure his upgrading ACU. So this time and scale based production lead I mentioned mainly comes from moving the ACU out of the main base so early on. So Sous-Vide, you should build at least 3 factories in your core with your ACU and maybe even some engineering support, because if you don't do that, then the opponent has their factories earlier and they can start producing while you don't have a production yet. So there are several factors why you're being outproduced like that. You can see how many tanks the opponent has and you barely have any. So this is the amount of factories, the timing of factories, and the stall pretty much, plus that early tank you didn't need, right? This is why you're being outproduced so much. And now you have to overcompensate for the lost time and scale-based production lead, and the only way to do so is with a new scale-based like production lead, right? You're trying to build up a scale-based production lead, which is why you're putting your entire eco into factories rather than taking up mixes, taking up factories or upgrading your ACU, right? It's your only choice, and you can see how path-dependent your build was. Because of what you did earlier, you have now no other choice than like burning your entire eco into factories, which will become redundant eventually because it's still just T1 units and your opponent can already start taking up if they wanted to, surfing their production lead, so to say. But I can see you're getting support from your allies. Red has been supporting you, brown has been supporting you, and red is now advancing into white space. So white is fighting against a ticking clock, and it's not going to take a long time until he is forced to retreat out of his core and upgrade the combat path. Because when you don't have any eco anymore, what you usually do is go for nano upgrade, shield upgrade, gun upgrade and the like, so your ACU still is an asset for your team. Right? And then you would try to rebuild some stuff elsewhere, maybe get some power generators, overcharge and mass fabricators, and slowly try to regain your core together with your ally. So we missed out on some of the fighting here. Let me summarize what happened. So blue was in this position, this blue guy, and he clearly overextended with his ACU. And pink had enough units to kill him, plus there were 2 ACUs to attack the blue ACU. But even though blue died, the bottom team paid quite a high price for it. You can see how pink's ACU HP is low, the other pink's ACU HP is also low, despite the upgrade that just finished. And he also lost all his units. Like, you can see how there are some wreckages, Seraphim wreckages in the commander explosion that were even more closer to the explosion. And essentially, he traded his entire base for a kill. Why is this a problem? Well, we can take a look at the observer perspective, and you can see that yellow's ACU is here, present and upgrading, possibly T2 or gun, and Alec is also here. He already destroyed that pink's base, and now it's a 2v2, but those two either have no units or low ACU HP or both, and it's obvious why they would be forced back, right? So what should Grey do in this situation? Well, certainly not upgrade gun and T2. It would have been better to not upgrade T2 and just rely on the completed T2 land factory that's already there. Plus there is T2 air, so this is one of the many situations in which you would not want to have so many T2 things and instead just use one, right? So this is a bad choice of upgrades here, and Grey should have seen that these people are effectively outnumbered because of the low unit count and ACU HP, and he should have been supporting them earlier. Now, we did miss out a death here, so it was Captain. It was the player in this base, and he was fighting against farm. He apparently thought it would be a good idea to contest farm for his T2 PD, but the T2 PD turned out to be too strong. And now white was here all alone. His ACU was pushing together with the other, and white decided to draw a farm. And now they traded 2 for 1, but essentially one base was already destroyed, so it's not necessarily a bad deal. And this team bought some reclaimables on their side of the map, as well as some time to build up another push, pretty much, right? So let's go back to Sous-Vide's view. It looks like he's getting the gun upgrade, and if you take a look at the setup, this makes sense. Sous-Vide has lots of T1 land factories, and he's not so heavy on the mass side of things. He's rather a power-centric. And the synergy between land units and a power setup is ideal for gun. You would get gun upgrade and possibly later invest into air, get some fighters to guard your ACU. And that's how you can get the perfect synergy between all of these factors. So if you wanted to go for a tech setup on your ACU, you would need more mass extractors and less power generators, and also less factories. Because less factories are going to allow you to get more mass extractors, and you need the mass to make use of T2 PD and TML, right? And this is the tech path. So the right side is slowly falling. There are still 3 ACUs, but they are losing HP, and the top team is gaining the entire reclaimables on the right side, and it looks like Alec is slowly taking up while spamming quite a lot. So he is on T2 now, and he still has a lot of T1 spam. I would not be surprised if he tagged multiple factories to T2 and went for large-scale pillar spam. And there's not a lot that the bottom team can do about it, despite having 3 ACUs. Now there is a fight here between a gun ACU and an upgrading ACU. Let's take a look at the upgrades.
Under attack.
apparently that was Radar and T2. I don't know why upgrading Radar has become so popular now. I would say usually it's a waste of mass, unless you are in the late T2 stage or in the early T3 stage, where you can find the stealth units and every unit dies to overcharge and the frequency gun doesn't matter so much, right? This is a situation where you would go for the Radar upgrade. But you never go Radar first, you always go tech and then Radar, or you go gun and like you unequip the high frequency gun for the Radar in the late game. But it's not like you just stand there and you decide to upgrade Radar for like because you feel like it, and then you have it and you do nothing with it, right? So this Radar upgrade was a waste of ACU combat impact as well as mass, right? Now Sous-Vide seems to be pushing. Let's take a look at his setup again. He's in a great position from which he could get a lot of free claim. So I would advise to, once these units have retreated, build a land factory here and queue up some engineer spam to grab all of those wreckages over here. And with that much mass in the bank, he could be taking 2 additional mexes and he would not stall for a second. Since there is even more mass around here, I think he can confidently tech up to 6 mexes or something like that at the same time. Should not be a problem. Now he realized that there is some T2 air presence for the opponent, and it looks like the bottom air player is going for Raz right now, so there's not a lot of T2 air for him, and that's why it's important to be a bit conservative with the ACU play. An anti-air defense is a good call. Now over here we have some TML killing Brown's mexes, and there's a single Team D, but this Team D is misplaced. So UEF Team D has very high range, but it's important that you build it a little bit ahead of what you want to protect, because it usually takes 2 or at times even 3 shots to actually kill the missile, right? And that's why you want to build it far ahead of what you're protecting and not right next to it. So we see some Mercies over here, and apparently there was finally a kill now, so it was just a matter of time. And it looks like Grey actually died. Against Mercies, it seems. So if there is such a clusterfuck, a Mercy may get through. There's not a lot you can do about it. I think the main mistake that happened on the right side was allowing the units to die and the ACU HP to drop in this fight in the 2 versus 1, right? Because that actually turned everything into a 2 versus 1 effectively after top player lost his units, and it was really a mistake that Grey didn't support. Suicidal is pushing now. It looks like he has recovered from his bad start, and the second base is actually working out quite well for him. I'm surprised he has not rebuilt this mech yet, but it may have been late. And I think you know that you need to do that in theory. You just kind of forgot about it, right? So some focus fire going on against Teal. Suicidal should be killing him, even without any air support. There we go. And retreating is probably the best option. So there's some T2 flag in the field that's moving up. That's great. So Suicidal should make it out alive, and this was a great push. So I said on multiple occasions that the Seraphim gameplay is very ACU-centric. You can see how much how many kills this ACU has, and how much veterancy it got, right? So you should always use your ACU aggressively, keep the initiative, and support it with flak and lots of T1 RD, right? So that was a good attack. Now over here, the top team finally arrived at the air player space, and even though the air player got some T3 air now, he won't have much time to make use of it because of the opponent's land presence over here. So MSG actually managing to build a shield generator here, and that's surprising because Seraphim T2 shields have a very high build time. But since nothing is attacking him right now, that's great to spot this opportunity and actually build it. Now Alec has gotten multiple Percivals, I'm kind of missing a T2 mobile shield here to protect them against overcharge, but otherwise this is pretty good. So he has tagged up all his mixes on the top side to T2. He has built some forward reclaim factory over here and over here, and that's how he managed to get all of these Percival's and pillars to mount this attack. And the bottom team is just dying now. A very interesting unit composition here from Yellow. He is going for this T2 upgrade and PD creep and the shield, plus he's mixing in lots of DPS units, all this T1 artillery. So this should overrun the air player space in no time. Brown apparently getting sniped by gunships and not enough flak in the area. But I guess at this point it doesn't matter anymore. This game seems lost. Last man standing from the top side, the guy who lost his base first. Always impressive, Chris. And Sous-Vide seems to be the last player on here to have any meaningful battlefield impact. And it looks like he's just going to get killed by the Percivals, I assume. Nothing he can do about those. So we can speed this up a little bit. Watch Chris' glorious death against Titans, interestingly. Why would you go Titans? Well, I guess it's working out here, since there's a lot of low HP raidable targets and not a lot of resistance. So these are actually perfect to kill the T1 power and the engineers. Now this could be a kill. I think Sous-Vide has a good chance of killing Sharp Sword. And if FTX Commando is not reacting with any T1 PD, then he might die as well, actually. So that's when you want to diversify a little bit. If there is flak, sure you can keep building gunships, they will at least deal some damage, but you should not invest your entire eco into flak, and rather build some T1 PD on top of that, which would be more mass efficient here. So it looks like it's going to be FTX Commando who's going to get killed. Always beautiful to see an aggressive Seraphim ACU play like that. Sharp Sword made it out alive, getting another rank of veterancy. So this game was quite a slaughter. I hope there were some learning experiences for you. To summarize the advice of Sous-Vide again, revise your starting build order. Make sure to build more factories early on, so your opponent cannot build up a time and scale-based production lead as much. And once you have a better starting build order and you get your own time and scale-based production lead, it will be much easier for you to eco up and also tech up. So thank you very much for watching, and good luck, have fun applying the learnings in your games.